almost died because he didn't want to bother me. The hospital called me at 2:17 in the morning. The first thing the nurse said wasn't, "Your dad had a heart attack." She said, "He begged us not to call you." I almost lost my dad because he spent his entire life pretending he didn't need anyone. If you asked him how he was doing, the answer was always the same. "I'm fine." Didn't matter if he'd thrown out his back, caught the flu, or spent the entire day alone after mom passed away. Always, "I'm fine." I honestly believed him until last November. I called him after work. He sounded different, out of breath. I asked what he was doing. "Oh, just cleaned the gutters." I actually laughed. "Dad, you're 73. You should have called me." He chuckled. "Why would I bother you? You have your own life." The next morning, I texted him. Nothing. Around lunch, I called. Straight to voicemail. Again, nothing. I figured he'd forgotten to charge his phone. Then, at 2:17 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. The nurse introduced herself. Then, she said something that still makes me sick. "Your father asked us not to contact you. He didn't want to be a burden." I don't even remember grabbing my keys. By the time I got to the hospital, he was sitting up in bed like nothing had happened. He actually smiled. "See? I'm okay." I almost yelled. Instead, I asked the doctor what happened. He pulled me into the hallway. "Your father had chest pain for 4 days. Not 4 hours. 4 days. He thought it would go away. He only came in because he collapsed in a grocery store parking lot, and a stranger called 911. The doctor looked me dead in the eye. If he'd waited another hour, he probably wouldn't have survived. I walked back into the room. "Dad, why didn't you tell me?" He looked embarrassed. "I know how busy you are. I didn't want you missing work." That answer broke me. Not because it was shocking, because it sounded exactly like him. Growing up, he worked double shifts and never complained. When he got laid off, I didn't find out for months. When mom started chemo, he kept telling everyone she was doing great, even when she couldn't get out of bed. He wasn't lying. He genuinely believed protecting the people he loved meant carrying everything by himself. A week later, I went to his house to grab some clothes for him. While looking for a phone charger, I opened the kitchen junk drawer. There was a small notebook, just random reminders, or so I thought. Then, I started reading. "Don't ask Emma to drive me. She's busy. Don't mention the chest pain. It'll only scare her." Then I found the last page. One sentence, written bigger than everything else. "She deserves to enjoy her life, not spend it worrying about me." I sat on his kitchen floor and cried harder than I had in years, because I'd spent months feeling guilty for not checking on him enough, while he'd spent those same months trying to protect me from his own pain. Now, I don't end our phone calls with, "Call me if you need anything." I already know he won't. Instead, I tell him, "I'm coming over Saturday." No debate, no excuses, because sometimes the people who keep saying they're fine are the ones silently hoping someone stops believing them. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you checked on the strongest person in your family instead of assuming they were really okay?